Comic book pro Jimmy Palmiotti is one of the more interesting follows you'll ever have on social media. He says a lot of kind of funny stuff on Twitter specifically, and this week he had something to say about kind of being poor and being a comic book pro, and I decided to bring my good friend Aaron Sparrow, comic book editor, comic book writer for season 4 of Young Justice. How you doing, Aaron?
Doing fantastic, Wes. Good to be here.
I know you always like to talk about Jimmy Palmiotti, so let's talk about this tweet. I will read it here, and then we'll have a conversation about it. This is what Jimmy Palmiotti had to say. Most people making comics live from page to page. Most comic people never see royalties. All comic people in the USA have to pay their own medical insurance unless they are on a spouse's account. Most use that money they make at cons to pay bills. I feel like I'm supposed to feel bad here, but I don't really, Aaron. It's like, if you're in the arts...
Is there a follow-up to that, or is that just a statement, like he's put that out there?
That was a statement, I guess. But, most actors live paycheck to paycheck, and most actors probably have to have roommates and stuff. They certainly don't have medical insurance and stuff like that. That's where the risk you take when you decide to be a professional artist.
Yeah, when you decide to be creative, you are basically saying that I'm gambling on myself. And if that gamble's not working out, you can go get a regular job. You can go work somewhere. There's a lot of comic book pros, too, that have regular jobs, and they do it on the side. And that's what I always recommend to people when they ask me, what advice do you have for people who want to be in comics? I always tell them, if you can find something else that you enjoy doing, and you can do that, where you can make some money and have some medical benefits and things like that, then go do that and do comics on the side. But if you can't do anything else and be happy, if being an artist or working in comics is the only thing that's going to make you happy, then do that. But understand you're giving up a lot of things that are going to cause you stress and maybe make you unhappy. So, it's a balancing act. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, there's only so many Frank Millers and Scott Snyders where you can be a full-time comic pro and probably make, in the millions of dollars a year annually. For the most part, you're kind of living paycheck to paycheck. And like you said, a vast majority of the comic pros I know, they all have a side gig. And actually, the comic books are kind of the side gig. I know you got a couple hustles that you do. Mm-hmm. Even Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, they make a lot of money with their comic books and crowdfunding. They do not consider themselves pros because they have full-time vocations. All this money they're making from comic books is just kind of an added bonus and something they do on the side because they know the industry itself is so volatile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're putting your eggs in that basket, then more the fool you. You're gambling with your well-being, and that's fine if you're a person that feels like you can take risks. But don't expect anybody to feel sorry for you. It's not like you should be given healthcare because you decided to be an artist. That's a decision that you made. No one else is responsible for paying your healthcare so that you can go pursue your dream.
It's hard for me to feel bad for the guy because he's been a comic pro for decades now. He's had to have noticed that his page reads haven't increased over time. And in fact, they probably decreased a bit over time. And it's not like the money's been pouring in the whole time. I'm sure there have been better times, in certain periods than others. But listen, if you haven't figured out that you can't live very well as a full-time comic pro by now, it's like, it's on you. You're an adult. You made a decision.
No, absolutely. Would it be great if, comic books sold so well that, the companies could pay great page rates, and they were so popular that they needed to put more money out there in order to get people to work on them? Yeah, that'd be fantastic, and we'd all love that, and it'd be great. But that's not the world that we live in. That's not the reality, and you're not going to make a ton of money selling 15,000 copies of a book a month. Jimmy's interesting because he's talking about this when just what was it, maybe a year ago, he was telling people now's the time to go ask for a raise because comic books are doing so well. And I took issue with that. I've met him a few times. He's a really nice guy. I don't want to take anything away from him in that respect. I think he's a really good-hearted guy. But I don't think that he has the best takes on things. I don't think that he lives in the same reality as everybody else. Someone said to me recently, because we were talking about some tweets that he put out a while ago, and someone said, Jimmy is the very epitome of I support the current thing. If you look at his Twitter, it's going to be whatever is in the news that day. Whatever Rachel Maddow is saying, that's what Jimmy's going to be parroting. Jimmy is just a very kind of, I think, surface guy. I don't think he really analyzes things all that much. I think he just takes things, as he has a lot of received opinions, in my opinion, which a lot of people do, unfortunately. So when he comes out and he gives you a take on something, It's not always going to be the best take. It's not always going to be the best advice. Like we said on that previous video, don't go ask for a raise. You're gonna, you can, shoot your shot, but don't be surprised if you get told no, because they're just going to reboot the thing in 6 issues with a new team. If you're now becoming a problem, you're becoming too expensive. I'm sure if Vita Ayala goes in and asks for a raise, she's going to get told no. She doesn't move books. Maybe they'll offer her some more books, that won't move, but they're not gonna bump up her page rate because it's based on performance and it's based on sales, and they're in the business of giving you as little as possible to produce these things. So for Jimmy to be surprised, to be putting this out there like it's a surprise or it's something that we should be concerned about, I just don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I remember when he had that hashtag that he was doing where he was trying to hashtag and then like at people that were in comic book movies, like movie stars, to get the awareness out there so that they knew that what they were doing was associated with comics and it was going to like increase awareness of comic books. It was like, what do they care? They're making millions of dollars potentially, especially if it's the star of the movie. They don't want you to get your cut. They want their cut. And he went after it for like a year. It's like, take the hint, man.
And it didn't work. It didn't work. Like Hugh Jackman may say, hey, here's Len Wein who created Wolverine and is responsible for my career. That's a nice little pat on the back. That's a nice little kudos, but I'm sure Len would have rather had a check, shave off a little bit of those millions that you're making there, Hugh, and, kick it to the creator that gave you that career, but that's not the reality. It'd be nice if that happened, but, that hashtag was just the dumbest idea ever. Nobody buys a comic book because, Benedict Cumberbatch goes, hey, look, here's an issue of Doctor Strange. Nobody goes, oh, I better rush out and check out these comic books that are part of this movie. They go and they're movie fans. They go and they watch the movie, and then that's it. That's the end of it for them.
Yeah, the only way they watch or read a comic book is if Keanu Reeves wrote it, and then they buy it.
Yeah, or you're told that Keanu Reeves wrote it and had like a big part in it.
I interviewed Matt Kidd. He said that they have meetings every week, and he's heavily involved in every aspect of that book.
Well, you know what? I love to hear that. Good for that. Good for Matt. It's cool that he's working with Keanu. Everybody says Keanu's a great guy. He gets, but he's the exception in Hollywood. He gives his salary away to, to the VFX people and to people on the crew, and he buys them stuff, and he doesn't put it out there. He doesn't publicize it. Keanu's a lot different than most of the people in these movies.
Yeah, you hear those stories where he ends up with like homeless guys and like treating them to dinner and like hanging out with them.
Yeah, like, getting him a hotel and, hey, why don't you get cleaned up? We'll get you some clothes and stuff. Yeah, no, he's just you don't hear stories like that from Brie Larson. You don't hear stories like that from, your Don Cheadles, Mark Ruffalo, who's always on Twitter talking about, the plight of the downtrodden. You never hear stories about him actually doing anything besides tweeting. There's so many of these people that are like, they put out their tweet and they're like, I've done my part. And that's it.
Yeah, I hopefully Jimmy Palmiotti is not one of those people that Keanu has to help in the future, because we do see a lot of comic pros that were associated with really successful comic books in the past, and they end up, kind of destitute and asking for help doing GoFundMes and whatnot, because even when the industry was hot, it's not like everyone was making a ton of money, and the industry just isn't hot right now. So, I hope Jimmy Palmiotti and some of these other creators that have really banked solely on comic books realize it's time to expand your horizons. I talk to a lot of writers. You don't only have to write comic books. You don't only even have to write. You could do a lot of different creative ideas and advertising, whatnot, and really get that side hustle going on. So you're not fully hedging on the comic book industry, which is kind of, if it's not in a decline, it's stagnating, at least in the direct market.
Yeah, hopefully Jimmy has made good investments. I hope that he's got a nice little retirement fund going that he puts money into. I hope he's doing those things, because it is very difficult for pros once they no longer have a lot of work coming in. And I can't. I mean, can you name something that Jimmy has written that like stands out as like an all-time classic? Something that's going to get reprinted a lot and see he's going to see those royalties.
Didn't he do that? He did that Daredevil run with Kevin Smith, but he was the illustrator, I believe, wasn't he?
No, I think he inked it, right?
He inked it. Okay.
Yeah, he inked over.
That's right. Yeah, he was the inker up for Quesada. So he has been involved with some stuff, and I'm sure some of his Harley Quinn stuff will get translated, to the big screen. But you can't really really count on that. And as he was talking about, you don't get a lot of royalties, and those creators in the past got much better royalty deals than anybody's getting nowadays. They kind of really try to fleece the creators out of the royalties that they should be making.
Yeah, if there's some stuff from his Harley Quinn runs or anything like that he's done with his wife Amanda Connor that ends up on the big screen, maybe he'll get a big fat check like Ethan Van Sciver did for Iron Heights. He got six-figure check. That's nice if you can have that rolling in, but that's obviously not everybody in the industry.
Yeah, it kind of falls right in line with that Cena Grace tweet. Did you see that one?
Which one?
I guess he was saying people like to make fun of like the royalties that I get paid, but I got a royalty check and bought a bunch of comic books and candy with it. And it's like, that's what you're doing with your royalty check? It's so small that you can count it in comic books and candy?
Oh, I know comic books are very expensive.
Well, still, you know what I mean? That's not a mortgage payment. It's fucking comic books. It's some Jolly Ranchers.
I'm surprised that anything Cena's done has netted him enough royalty to buy some comic books and some candy. So good on him. I don't know what
save that was. Just save that money, man. Don't be investing it in gum.
Yeah, no. Go. Hey, man. It's the dollar is being devalued. You gotta invest it in stuff. Those Skittles futures are looking really good.
Yeah, it's one of those things. When you're an adult, you do have to look out for yourself and your own well-being. I personally have savings for my wife and myself and our kids and stuff like that. Like, you can't just count on other people to take care of you when you get older. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, in your 50s, that is not a cool thing. And I do feel bad for you, but you kind of saw it coming. You should probably take action at some point to change your fortunes and get something else going to where you have that income. I mean, you don't just do comic books and writing. You sell, what do you sell? Action figures and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I sell action figures. I create things that I sell. I write copy for, different companies, do like some advertising things. You write some advertising copy. I take work wherever I can find it. And
You're a freelancer.
I'm a freelancer. And, but I'm actually doing fine because I don't have extravagant tastes. It's like, I'm not caught up in, having, I need to get this car so that everybody thinks I'm super cool. I don't care about any of that. I live pretty simply. And so I sock money away. People are like, oh, collect toys. What else do you collect? And I say $100 bills. That's what I collect. You got to put stuff away. You got to have that. And it's just, I got to tell you, if you're working in comics and you're living paycheck to paycheck, do something else. Figure out a way to make money and to set stuff aside, because there is nothing that is more freeing than when your car breaks down, knowing that you could just go out and buy another car. Or knowing that, you've got the money for repairs, if something comes up medically that you're covered. I cannot stress to you the peace of mind that comes with that. So as much as, we all love comics and we all love working in it, it's not the end all be all. You got to take care of yourself because no one else is going to take care of you.
Yeah, obviously we see the GoFundMes and whatnot, but you don't want to be in a position where you have to go out there and ask for money. You want to be able to take care of yourself. You definitely need to be saved up for a rainy day. And, it's hard for me to feel bad for Jimmy Palmiotti. Hey, I wish people got paid more, but the reality is what the reality is. And you've been living it for a few decades now. So maybe I'm supposed to drop a tear over that tweet and the way that things are. And, I did drop a tear over Cena Grace, but I was laughing so hard that he was bragging about buying candy and comic books with his royalty checks. But
I like to think that was sarcasm, that he was like, hey, you guys.
He was bragging. He was totally bragging.
Was he bragging? Oh, see.
Oh, yeah.
But if I put out the same tweet, you would know that I was making fun of myself. I'd be
I think you were making fun of him.
Well, if I put it out now, I'd be making fun of him. But, if I was like, yeah, I just got a royalty check and, went out and bought myself a Twix.
Yeah. We got some fruit by the foot. I'm doing pretty good.
I don't want to brag, but yeah, no, it's I'd like to think maybe too that Jimmy put that out just as hey, like he's doing okay, but the majority of people aren't. But I don't know, it's weird. Some of the tweets that he puts out, you got to wonder where they're coming from.
Speaking of Jimmy Palmiotti tweets that he puts out that are worth making fun of, as Aaron mentioned earlier, he had that hot take last year that everyone should be demanding more money. We had a good conversation about it. This was a bad idea, especially when you had the pandemic shutdown. There's not a lot of money rolling into comic books right now. This is a bad take, and we definitely talked about it.